Welcome to another video. I'm Rusty CG, and we have the famous Factor right here. He's the RQ champion from Hartford from this weekend. And welcome, and tell me, how did you do, and how was your weekend?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited to be able to be here and be on here. I know that we got to play. I mean, round two, which was a little bit crazy and a really good time. And overall, it was a really crazy weekend. I felt really confident with the deck that I was bringing, and my team, my two friends really taught me everything I needed to know to execute on the weekend, and it felt really good. I only lost one game in all of day two, so the deck felt really strong, and I was very excited to be able to lift up the trophy for the first time.
Yeah, that's insane because, like you just mentioned, that we played round two, and that's the good thing is I can actually say that I lost to the champion. I didn't lost to a random person, and we basically met. I think like in Atlanta or we met in Vancouver. I forgot which one it was, but I played against your teammate Ricky Casanova, and we've been in contact since then. And when we first round, I saw your face. Like I sat at the table next to you, and you said, "No, I'm playing you." I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" Like I look at the name, I say like Factor. I'm like, I know that name. Like I know that name from somewhere. And after that, I sat down, I look at it. I'm like, shit, we're friendly firing round two. That's insane because I didn't play round one, so I had a buy, and I think most likely you had a buy also. I believe.
Yes, yeah. I also had a bye going in round one, so it was the first one to start the day. And I mean, I was a little worried because Aurora is notoriously a tough matchup for my deck, but
Yeah, and
it ended up being good.
unfortunately, I bricked. No mobilized, no catalyst. Game one, game two, I got it. Game three, no mobilized, no catalyst again. I just force play my dragon, force play everything, and like I try to tough as long as I can. But congrats on the win. So I think we don't want to spend too much time, but we're gonna go over your deck list and your decision. On the order that you share me the list. So we're gonna start with your runes, and after that, I'm gonna go to the battlefield, and after that, I'm gonna go to your main deck and sideboard. So the stage is yours.
Wonderful, yeah. To start with the runes, we decided to go 7-5. We were playing 3 sabotage in the main board, which is very orange heavy already. We have 3 punch first that cost two, another 2 orange runes. And then, of course, the Fiora was the star main board card of the weekend. And then Rengar. We had a lot of ways to recycle orange and only charm into 5 main board for green, so we didn't really feel like we needed to see more than 2 going into the first 3 or 4 turns of the game. And so that felt really good for me on the weekend. There were a lot of times where it was really close to running out of body wounds, but I ended up having the exact amount that I needed, which worked out really well. Yeah, and then going into our battlefields, we decided to play Arena's Greatest over Star Spring. I was getting a lot of questions about that, why I was playing Arena's Greatest over Star Spring, because a lot of people are like Star Spring is really good for the deck. And I agree that Star Spring is really good for the deck. But from my personal playstyle, I don't enjoy battlefields that are super volatile and can cause a lot of impact in the game and in mid game scenarios. I think that it makes it a lot easier to get blown out. I didn't want to lose a game to hitting a Rengar where they get to use my Star Spring, or hitting the Mirror where they get to use their first mate on my Star Spring.
Yeah.
And in lieu of that decision, we did decide to cut down on one first mate to make some space for the Sabotages and the Fioras. And yeah, the Arena's Greatest did me everything I wanted to on the weekend. I mean, if you guys watched the finals game, you saw me sit there thinking about flipping that double Arena's Greatest for probably way longer than I needed to, and but I decided to do it. I'd done it multiple times on the weekend, and was very happy with those decisions as far as like runes and battlefields go.
Yeah, that's crazy because you were my second opponent that I play against that had Arena Greatest against me game one, and that was on the pre-regionals. I play against another guy called Dan, and it was funny. I got paired against him round five again on the main event, and I know exactly what he was doing. But when you played the Arena Greatest, I'm like, not again, because I think my win rate against Master Yi was 90%, like 85 or 90% against Master Yi on Silver Aurora. But when I think I won zero game on Arena Greatest game one. Like never, I never won that game. So it's just like insane tech and an insane battlefield going first.
Yeah, it's incredible going first. Our deck can play it going second with Rengar. And then, yeah, of course, as you said into you, I blind flipped it. That was a kind of a game plan into Aurora. As you can see with the list, we don't have any Akshan in the main board, which makes the Aurora matchup a lot harder. So we're hoping to blind flip Arena's Greatest game one and and hope that that was just good enough to get us there, and then we get to bring in, of course, like the rakes in game 2 and 3 to make it a little bit more favorable for us.
Yeah, I think Action. To be honest, I think Action is the worst card against Aura, because like you flip Action, you take my Aura. Yes, you might get a Rengar or you can get a Rune Runner, but on my turn, if I put another Aura or just challenge your Action and I just take back my Aura and I like nothing happened to me. So that's like I don't like Action, to be honest.
Yeah, we thought that card was very overrated. Of course, it was still good-ish into Azir and okay into Irelia as well, but we thought it was really overrated into Aurora with how easy it was to kill, especially Sivir getting all the gold tokens. It's really easy then for just to be able to play an Elder Dragon like a turn or two after getting the Aurora down, and it just never felt good enough having to stick on the battlefield, and we already have a 4-for-4 unit that doesn't really have text in our champion zone. I didn't really want 2 more in our deck.
Yeah, that's the best decision you took for the weekend.
Yeah. And then as far as the main deck, it's pretty basic, really close to what Houses was doing. We obviously took a lot of inspiration from him. We got rid of the auctions. We put in two of the 3-drop Fioras in the main board, which was a surprise on the weekend. In my game, I was 9-1. I hit the mirror. And in game 1, I actually got a judge called, and they were like, I played the Fiora, and they were like, Judge, can we make sure it's in his main deck? And I was like, that's so valid. And the judge like came over, and the judge was like, is it in your main deck? And I was like, yes, it is. And he was like, all right, well, if it's not, you now lied to me. So I'm going to go check, but if there's issues, I'll come back. And I was like, that was the best way to handle that.
Yeah.
So happy with how the judge handled that. Happy with everything. Happy to have the Fio in the main board for the mirrors. If you watched, I know none of these games got put on stream or anything, but if you looked at my run a little bit, I did starting out, I didn't hit any Yi in day 1, but in day 2, I hit 3 in a row on my first 3 rounds. I 2-0'd all 3 of them. The Fiora really helped with that in 2 of the games I had played in the mirror. She definitely made it a lot easier. One of the biggest strengths of the card that I think people have overlooked is when you play the Fiora, you move it into a battlefield and it's holding. Yes, it's really easy for your opponent to just move into units. They can move in a 2-drop with a 4-drop or something and get over it pretty comfortably. But we found that after that situation happens, the Fiora always gets to trade with 1 unit, and then it allows opportunities for you to play Rengar the turn after. And we felt that power onto the board state was really strong for us, and getting rid of 2 units essentially with the 1 Fiora is what it felt like a lot of times was good enough to have it included in the main deck.
Yeah, did it ever happen, like, what was the biggest weakness of the Fiora? Because I think that's the biggest tech of the weekend. And, like, when was the weak spot for you to play Fiora? Or the best spot for you to play it?
Fiora, all of day 1 was pretty bad for me. I had hit, day 1, I hit, like, an Azir, I hit a Victor, I hit a Rengar, and these are all matchups that can play a lot of units and not get punished as hard because they just have so many units. Azir and Victor being able to make tokens with their leader effect infinitely, and Rengar getting to play a bunch of little guys like Determined Sentry, and then using Kai'Sa to draw and keep getting more units. The Fiora did feel really weak into those matchups, and I ended up having to board her out a lot going into day 1. But I felt really confident in my play, and that even if I hit some of these bad matchups with the Fiora in my deck, I could still find other ways around those matchups and winning. And it worked for me, other than I ended up losing to Sam Sherman on Rengar. Where game 1, I had to play a Fiora in a really rough spot. And it ended up being pretty bad for me because he double stacked the battlefield, and I couldn't ever break through. So that was definitely where it wasn't doing well on the weekend, but into all the Diana and Yi I hit day 2, it felt really powerful.
Yeah, that's insane, because let me pull up. I have all of your matchup. Let me just pull that up quickly. Give me a second.
Yeah, my matchup spread was no Diana and no Yi all of day 1. No Diana into top 8, which was very surprising. I was like flabbergasted going into day 2 that I'd hit neither of those decks with how much they were represented in the format.
Yeah, like I think Yi, the reason why, because they have the highest deck played in the whole regionals, and the best, I think, like it was like the best conversion rate or something like that. So they have like more than 250 decks or something. So I don't know the exact numbers, but that was on the pre-regionals, that there was like 250 out of 1,400 or 1,000 players. So that's quite insane. So right here I have list. So round one, you play against me.
Yep, yep. That was it. We played a really good set, went to time.
Yeah.
That was a nerve-wracking way to start the
Yeah,
weekend.
it's like 1-1, and after that, game three, like it was just insane. And round two against Victor. So how was that matchup against Victor?
I was really worried going into it. I saw the pairing, and in the pre-RQ, my only 0-2 loss was against the Victor. And so I was kind of a little scared. I know the Fiora is not good in that matchup. Um, but it ended up working out really well for me. Game one, he actually forgot about my passive. He sent a sprite into my Lonely Poro with Sprite Fountain. And then I was like, okay, 4 into 3. And then he was like, okay, my sprite dies. I forgot about your passive. And then I was like, okay. I was surprised he didn't ask to take it back. I probably would have let him take it back if he asked, but he just sent his sprite to death. And I was like, okay. And from there, the game got really easy. And then game two, I made the decision to play Double Arena's Greatest against him, assuming that my game three would be better without it, and that I had some outs on Double Arenas. I hadn't talked this over with my team. I kind of just made the decision on the spot, and ended up working out. He played a recruit on turn one, and then I played a 2-drop. Then on turn two, he made another recruit, and then played Zinzao and double conquered. And on my turn, I used my 2-drop to get over his recruit, and then played Rengar on the Zinzao and hit an Hourglass, and the game was pretty much over from there. I conquered the 4, held the 6, held the 8. He couldn't really do much.
That was quick.
So yeah, it was a quick game. It was like a 10-minute game.
Oh,
so
shit.
It felt really nice to get what I thought would be a rough matchup for me out of the
Yeah.
way.
And so round four, you have a Irelia matchup. So that's how did it go?
I really went well. Nothing crazy to speak on game one. It felt pretty easy. Game two, I played a Sabotage, and I looked at his hand, and it was Defiant Dance, Defiant Dance, Defiant Dance, Discipline, Defy. So I was pretty worried. But I ended up closing out a really close end game by like 1 might, I think. I think he misplayed a little bit going into the games. But that play ended up doing pretty well in the event. I think he went like 9-2-1, 10-2-1, something like that on Irelia. And so getting that win felt good.
Yeah, that's insane because you 2-0'd a Victor and you 2-0'd Irelia. That's like that's a
Yeah. I had
a perfect
a
day.
lot of 2-0s in this event. I had my favorite stat is I actually lost more games in the pre-regional qualifier than I did in the entire main event combined, which I thought was pretty funny because something about those pre-regionals, they're not meant for me. I can't do it, but the main event always goes a lot better. So.
I'm always the opposite of you. I do amazing in pre-regionals. I do amazing in the rebound, but the main event, I'm always like I lose one game against like either in time against a player who's slow play, like either like they're new to the game or something like that, and in time, Aura, I cannot win in time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I always lose like round 2, round 3, round 4, my first loss, and after that, like I need to squeeze in last round, and round 8 I lose in time again. Like it's just so bad. But props for you, like you did amazing. So yeah. And round 5 you play against RQ champion Sam Sherman. And how did that go?
Yeah, I was very excited for that game. I've hit a lot of regional champions already. I played Alan before and Prismad, and I was really excited to get to play Sam and see if I could beat him. Game one, I hadn't played any games against the deck, so that was kind of a learning curve, figuring out exactly how to navigate the matchup. So he got me in game one. Game two was felt pretty fine for me. I played arenas, and then there was not too much to say. I started like to understand the matchup going into game two. Game three, we had a really close game three. He ended up getting the game he top decked a Pike that he got to hide. So I couldn't punish his Rengar play that I was planning on punishing. And then I had sabotaged him, so I knew his other 3 cards in hand. And then the turn after that, he had top decked an exact way to get 1 might over my unit to double conquer and stop me from holding to 8. So we played a really close game, a really intense match. And I'm happy with how I did end up performing against him with basically no reps into the matchup.
Mm-hmm. So just we rewind a little bit. Like your battlefield, do you always go the same order, like the blind, play, and the draw, or like you swap it up? Because I know you swap it up against Aura, but like what about your other matchups? Like how do you play your battlefields?
Most matchups I'm playing Seed of Power, blind, everything but Aurora. And and then I play, if my opponent is playing an Arena's Greatest deck, an aggro deck, and I won game 1, I will flip the double Arena's Greatest, because I think that in general for the aggro deck, the Arena's Greatest is going to be better, even if I'm on the play. Also, a big thing that I think about if I assume or know my opponent's going to flip Arena's Greatest, if I flip my Emperor's Dice, then they get a battlefield that they get to conquer because they're going to be going first. And so I'd rather just give them 2 battlefields that don't have text, so there's nothing that they could conquer on turn 2 to put them in a better spot. And then against non-Arena's Greatest decks, I would play Emperor's Dice on the draw, and then Arena's Greatest on the play.
Do you want to keep the double Arena Greatest Diana final matchup for the last, or you want to talk about it right now?
We can talk about it now.
Yeah.
So I flipped doubles Arenas twice. I believe against Sam and the Victor player. And I don't know. Me and my team, we hadn't talked about it all. Of course, top 8 and forward is open deck list, so I get to see my opponent's list. I know that he's playing like multiple Sprite Fountains, multiple 2-drops, like 9 2-drops, I believe. He's a lot more aggressive. And going into game 1, I felt like the way that I beat him was just by running him out of cards. Charm killed both his plays that were in his deck, and then he didn't really have any way to draw more cards, draw into more units. And so I figured going into game 2, we flip double Arena's Greatest, and even if I lose that game, I get to play Emperor's Dice on the play, which I think would put me in a really good spot, because one of my favorite things about getting to play it on the play and getting to the double Arenas game is you can play a 2-drop on turn 1, you can conquer Emperors, you can bounce back, make your soldier, and then play 3-drop Fiora. And that felt very powerful in our testing. It felt really hard to lose those games. And into Diana, I bring in my 3rd one. So yeah, but flipping the double Arena's Greatest was definitely a gamble for sure. But I think it put me in a better spot going into game 3, which was really just the plan. Was this puts me in a better spot going into game 3. But getting to close it out 2-0 made it a lot easier. There was a lot less no's for sure, because I was mostly expecting to lose that game.
Yeah, that's crazy, because we were driving back. We were rushing to go in the car to drive back to Montreal and be able to watch it while we drive. And like, I was not driving, but the driver couldn't watch, but we were driving. Like when you flip the Arena Grace, I was like, what the hell? Like, but my teammates was like, what is he doing? I'm like, I think he knows his matchup. Like, we spoke about it on round 2. I think he knows it. So I believe in him. That's what I told my teammates.
Yeah.
So when I saw the double Arena, I'm like, holy shit. I was like...
Yeah, I need to go back and get the voice clip. I remember flipping it and I was like, let's give him a show, and then I flipped over the double Arenas, and so I definitely want to go get that little voice clip of me saying that.
Yeah.
There's also, like, I know at the end of the game when I had double conquered and was holding, I had the double Sabo to get rid of the Rebuke and the Switcheroo, I passed, and I was like, good luck. And he was like, you don't really mean that, and I was like, look, I mean. And he almost drew it out. The Gus held him out for a turn. It did force me to have an answer, but I ended up having the punch first to be able to bring the Vanguard back, which I almost accidentally threw for half a second. I went to play the first mate, play it, and I have to pick it back up because I have to move the Vanguard back first. Yeah. So then I could first mate it, but I think everybody knew, I knew, the judges knew that the game was pretty sealed from
Yeah,
there.
Exactly. Yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, he got it. He got the game. Yeah.
Yep. When he played the Sprite Fountain on 1, he was like, he literally said, he was like, you said let's give him a show. I never normally do this, but... And he jams the fountain on 1, and I was like, I was a little annoyed because I had first mate in my hand as my 3-drop, which feels really good to get over his 2-drops. Mm-hmm. And he ended up having the Sprite, so I had to not be able to get over his 2-drop on the following turn after I played the first mate because of the fountain. But I think it was a little aggressive with his runes. It put him in a spot where he wasn't... I haven't watched the games back. I don't remember. He did have play when I saboed him, but I don't know how long he had it. But it put him in a spot where it was really hard for him to establish play. Because if he ever taps out for it, it just gives me a free charm. Mm-hmm. Charm plus a buff spell, and the game's really pretty much over from that point. So I think it felt a little greedy. I think that I was surprised by some of the decisions he had made in the games that we had played. But his list was very out of whack compared to what I've seen. So I think that he's an incredible player. I played against him in Vancouver. We were at 8-4. I was playing Pike and he was playing Diana. So it was cool to hit somebody who I'd hit at the last event at not as good of a record in finals and be able to avenge my loss against him from Vancouver.
I think the pairings. I have something weird about the pairings. Like I always pair against people that I played against before, and the way that I get paired, like I don't know, like from event to event. I don't know if they do it on purpose or like there's something, or it's actually random. But we paired against people that we played against before. Like it's weird. Like
Yeah, I don't know. I could see the thing of like, if you played against them before, you were probably in the same bracket, like record, and so your skill level might be the same. So you'd be in the same bracket in future events, would be my best guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have ever hit the same player twice, thinking about it, at a regional now. I think I've played 4 regionals, and I played a 10K as well back in November. And yeah, I don't think I've ever hit anybody 2 times, which now that I think about it, is a crazy stat. There were like times where there's people in my bracket where I've like, oh, I played against all of you guys, and then I just hit somebody I've never met before. So, but that's it makes the events a lot of fun, and meeting new people is like part of the reason that I play this Riftbound specifically, just because I love the community and I love getting to play the game. Like going into top 8, that was my goal, was to make top 8. I've lost a couple winning ins in the past, and once I'd made top 8, I was like, I just want to play more Riftbound. Like I'm just excited to be able to be here and be able to play more games against people and meet people.
yeah.
So yeah.
Let's call it a coincidence. That's it.
Yep. Coincidence.
Yeah. So let's jump into round 6. Lux. That's like a scary matchup. So tell me about it.
Yeah, Lux is scary. That player that I hit actually also went 8-0 in Atlanta. So I had kind of known of them already. Going into the matchup, I was a little bit worried, but I knew that we had triple sabotage main board, so that helped. I won the die roll, which made me feel really good, and then I missed a 2-drop on turn 1, going first in game 1, which felt a little scary. I was like, okay, that's not a great way to start out the matchup. But I ended up drawing 2 sabotages and 2 defies in the mid game, and I think I made the choice to defy at the right moment and I actually played a sabotage, and I saw his hand, and he had no progress day, so I took a different draw card, like a Shadow's Call or Sacrifice or something. And then the next turn, I played a second Sabotage, and this time he had 2 progress day. And I had mathed out that before I think he'd be able to cast both, that I would win the game. So I ended up not taking the progress day, and I ended up taking another Sacrifice instead, which I think was a very good decision and put me in a better spot.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up trying to draw into the win, but he couldn't get there.
Yeah.
And then game 2, I drew 3 sabotage that time, which made it real easy. So
you sealed the game.
3 sabotage game 2.
2 sabotage. You still you just need your 2 drops. You just hold it and you just remove everything, and you won the game.
Yeah, I saw a 2 drop on the draw. I had 3 sabotage, and yeah, it ended up being a pretty chill game 2. So I was really worried about that matchup. Even going into top 8, I saw that Bolivia was in top 8 with a similar style of the deck, and I was a little bit worried, but we were on opposite sides of the bracket, so that was the only matchup I was a little scared to hit in finals, but he ended up fizzling out in top 8, which was something that I was a little excited about for sure.
Yeah, I think you almost got the perfect bracket, being on the other side.
Yes, I agree. I think that my top 8 match was really hard. It was like a Magic Pro player who was really good. He had higher seed than me, so I really had to win a game 1 on the draw, and I was able to close out game 1, which made me really confident. But yeah, I think Ezreal is a good matchup for me. I played a lot of Ezreal in set 2. I spent like a month playing with the deck, so I kind of knew what he was doing. I even played Pac-Tro variant, so it made it really easy for me.
You're playing Pike. You're playing Pike
weird,
before,
but...
so...
Yes, I hit Rossum on Pike, and I actually went for best of Pike in Vancouver, going 8-5. And I knew exactly how his deck worked. And then I drew double camel both games, and I was like, well, I don't even need to know how your deck works. I just played 2 camels, and I know you can't answer them. So.
And surprisingly, you know that Alex Bradikin, he's from Montreal. He's one of the guy from my local, and he won like I think 5 times skirmish winner at one of our best local, and like he has a bounty on his head right now. So like it's just how good he is. But you got
I think that was his only loss the entire event. I think he was undefeated going into top cut. I think he only had 2 draws, which was an intentional draw with me, and then I think he drew on time with somebody else. So yeah, I think I was his only loss in the event. So happy to be able to be the one to take him down. I was surprised that deck is really hard to play, and playing it for 2 days straight, I I'm surprised he had the mental fortitude to hold it up and make it even to top 4 with such a complex deck.
Yeah, but he's one of the best Ezreal player that I ever saw in my life. So props to him.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody on production, and they were from Montreal, and they were like, "Yeah, he's the best Ezreal
Yeah,
player
Grenton.
that I've ever seen. Like, I think he's the best player on the deck."
Yeah,
And
he's the L3 judge. Grenton, like he's the one who's like
yes, Grenton, that's who it was. Yes.
Yeah, everybody give him a shout out. We're gonna make sure that people follow him on X. So yeah.
Yes, shout out Grenton, the GOAT, level 3 judge. He'll answer all of your judge questions.
Yeah. So now let's jump into round 7. Azir. That's another scary matchup.
Azir, I think is normally fine for Yi. But for my list, no Akshan, Fiora in the main. It gets a little bit harder. Also, I think Arena's greatest can make it a little bit sketchy. Sometimes I need to be slow and just sabotage out their rises. But going into game 1, he had missed his turn 1 play on the play. So it felt pretty easy from there. Game 2, I was playing dice because I was on the draw. And I ended up not seeing any of my rakes that I boarded in. Just really none of my pieces. And he was like, turn 1, gear guy, turn 2, gear guy, turn 3, brutalizer guy, turn 4, beer sword guy, turn 5, like a rise. And I was like, yeah, you got it, bro. Like, I put up a little bit of a fight, but I couldn't get there. And then going into game 3, I don't fully remember this game 3. I think I drew 1 rake, which helped. We had played a weird game where he got a lot of Eye of the Herald value. And we got to this end game where I knew he had a Vi in hand. And he brings Vi. He brings all of his. He has an Azir in the back, a Vi in hand. I'm at 6, and I have a Lonely Pearl on the right and a Rengar on the left. I'm at 7 because I hold the win. He brings all the units to the right because he has an Azir in base. And he has 2 Sand Soldiers, 1 with an eye, 1 with like a shield, and then 2 Aku tokens. And I made the call to discipline my Lonely Poro to try to get the Vi out of his hand. So I disciplined my Lonely Poro, and he decides to play the Vi, which put me in a good spot because I had challenge. So after that, I just challenged my Poro with his Azir, so he couldn't bring all the units back over to the left, and he didn't expect that play after he played the Vi, and so it allowed me to close out game 3 with just... It was actually crazy because going into the game, I see my opening hand, and I sat there for 2 minutes deciding whether or not to mulligan the challenge. And I even put it down, was about to put it on the bottom of my deck, and I was like, no, I'm going to keep it at the very last second, and then it ended up winning me the game. So
that's insane.
I was happy with that decision.
Yeah, that's a crazy play because you actually bait him to waste his Vi on the Poro. So yeah, you sealed the game.
Yeah, because if not all his guys die, the Azir doesn't get any value. Yep.
Yeah, and you were certain he didn't have a Defy?
I knew that his only card was Vi and he had a top deck. And so I was like if your top deck gets you there, I can't do anything about that. But I knew that the only card in his hand going into his turn was Vi. So yeah, he ended up not drawing something that was useful, and yeah, it got me there.
Yeah. So yeah, because I said scary matchup because for me it's a scary matchup because I don't like Azir, that's why. But for you, it's a good matchup.
I think it's favored with Akshan for sure. With Akshan, I think it's a good matchup. But I think with our list, it gets closer to 50-50. But I mean, if you ever see 1 rake on the dice game can win you the game if you get to cast it twice, or if you ever see 2, the matchup feels really easy. So that was kind of a goal going into it.
Yeah. So last round of day 1, Annie.
Yes. That matchup I think might be my best matchup in the whole room.
Wow.
It's so easy. I have 3 sabotage, so I know it's in their hand most of the time, and I get to... Their deck doesn't draw any cards already. And so it's really easy for me to run them out of cards with sabotage. And then I charm his Kai'Sa so it doesn't conquer and draw. That's about what happened both the games. I saboted him once or twice. I charmed a Kai'Sa, and then he was just never able to break through after that.
Yeah. So it's an easy 2-0 for you.
Yeah. It was I was happy seeing it on the pairings going into the last round of the day, and then happy that I was able to convert it to a good 2-0.
Yeah, that's insane. So now day 2, you got Yi, triple Yi. So you 2 all of them. So I think you mentioned it earlier that the Fiora was your MVP, and what else?
Yes. So actually, in the Fiora was the MVP in the last 2 2-0s. In the first one, I wasn't able to cast Fiora in either of the games. I think in that game he had game 2 on lock, but he made a misplay in the mid game. I remember. I don't remember exactly what it is, but he made some weird play in the mid game that I think lost him the game. Because of course I have 3 Sabo, 3 Scuttle. I know my opponent's hand most of the game, so it's pretty easy to know, math out potentially who's gonna win, even a couple turns ahead sometimes. But yeah, in that game he was a little bit more of a casual player, and yeah, and then going into my other two 2-0s, one of them, he in game 1 in my 2-0 at when I believe I was 8-1, so the second guy 2-0'd, the mirror. He in game 1 played a 2-drop, and I killed it. I think I went like I got to Rengar onto it, and he like played Yi, and I charmed his Yi, and he had no units left and passed for 2 turns. And I was like, well, that's a way to win game 1.
That's a seal game for you.
Yeah, it was like an easy game, and then we had a close game 2 where he was playing Starspring and I was playing Emperors. It was pretty back and forth, but I really had this motto in the mirror that points were not as potent as people thought they were. I was really focused on running my opponent out of resources. I had played the mirror on the pre-RQ, and I went 1-2 against this guy. Where at one point I had 6 points, he had none, and I still lost. And I learned a lot from that game, and I think it taught me what I needed to do to execute in the mirror. And I would let my opponents get points early, let them bring in their 2-drops, and then I would go for punishing Rengar plays, try to punish with like a Rengar and bringing up a Yi and buffing over, getting over both their guys, and being able to hold up runes. A lot of times in the mirror, I would try to play Sabotage and Rengar in the same turn as well. And yeah, it ended up working out for me. Just running my opponent out of resources is how I ended up winning most of my other mirror games. Just Sabotage is really good.
So basically, it's like almost every single mirror matchup. Like it's if you're in a mirror, you just need to be the better player and control the game, control the tempo, like sacrifice some points in order to develop. And when you have like the good push to seal the game, you just go for it. Like I think the mirror, mirror takes a lot of skills.
Especially in the Yi mirror where pushing is really hard. If you can establish a spot where you push even to 2 points, but you have like a Rengar and a Camel or a Rengar and a Yi that are going to be +2 on defense, it's going to be really hard for them to push through you. And you could just hold for multiple turns in a row just because they don't have the resources to push through. And yeah, that ended up working out well for me.
Yeah, so all 3 games was like that?
Yes, yeah, all the games were just me playing slow, running them out of resources, and taking advantage of the hand knowledge and knowing like what I had to play around. The biggest thing that I saw happen a lot was I would Sabotage, and people would try to play Defy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's always incorrect. I think if I play Sabotage, they play Defy, and I Defy it, the game's pretty much over. Because I get to take their Defy out of their hand, and I get to take probably their Punch First or Discipline, another really good card.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of times you just have to let the Sabotage go through, and people were a little bit too scared to just let the Sabotage happen and keep one of the 2 of their good cards.
Yeah, it's like you just took 2 cards instead of 1 card. Like you took away the 2 best cards of their hand. So that's just like that's insane. Yeah, and a Pike. So I'm pretty sure you know that matchup by heart against Rosam.
Yeah, I know that matchup in and out. The reason I didn't play Pike to this event is because I thought I had a bad Master Yi matchup. I also have Arena's Greatest in my deck to help against the control decks. I was a little bit worried about game 1 considering I only had 2 Camel, but I ended up getting both of them. But all my 2-drops draw me cards, and his goal is to remove my units, which is hard when they all draw me more units. And then, of course, 3 Sabotage. I get to know his hand, and I know mostly how he's going to play. And then 3 Defy, I get to counter the Void Seekers, make sure that he's not able to draw enough cards to get to the point where he's in a dominant board state.
Yeah, that's an easy 2-0 for you. And after that, you mentioned specifically Bradikin, you intentional draw with him against Ezreal, and now you sealed yourself in the top 8. So you go into Diana, and how did that go?
I was a little worried. I knew my opponent was a very good Magic player and TCG player overall. I knew he was higher seed than me. But I felt like the Fiora was a good tech that he wasn't going to expect. I also had tested a little bit of the Diana matchup and felt pretty confident. I think it's a little bit unfavored for Yi, but I think it is incredibly hard to play on the Diana side, and you have to play practically perfectly, and there are ways to play around it. A lot of my feelings into the Diana is just make sure I don't lose to Moonfall. Moonfall is really the card in the deck that can beat me. So a lot of times you would see me play a 2-drop and then play my Yi and just pass. So I'm not getting punished by any Moonfall plays. Game 1, we had a really tight game. He said that he believes he made a misplay. I didn't know exactly where it was because I didn't know his full hand the whole game. Game 2, I mean, all 3 of our games were really close. Game 2 was really close, and Game 3 was really close, but I was able to close it out in the end of Game 3, and that really felt like the hardest game I had played all weekend, and yeah, I felt good. Once I won that matchup, I was feeling really good going into top 4.
Yeah, that's insane. So, and I think like the Ezreal was on stream, the Diana was on stream, and what do you have to add onto those 2 last rounds?
Yes, yeah. I mean, like, going into top 4, I was the only non-chaos mine deck. I even made a post on Twitter. I was like, I saved Riftbound Twitter from 4 chaos mine decks in top 4 of this event. But going into Ezreal, I wasn't super worried. I had hit an Ezreal in the pre-RQ and had 2-0'd him pretty swiftly. Arena's Greatest helps a lot in that matchup. Game 1, I was really slow. Waited to get the camels down until late. Tried to bait him into using his resources to get rid of my guys and then double camel and just make him not have anything left. It ended up working out for me, playing the matchup a little bit slower than I expected to going into it. Then going into Game 2, he had made a surprising decision to flip Aspirant's Climb. Once I saw that, I was really confident because I have Game 3 Arenas. I considered flipping Arenas because I thought he was going to flip Aspirants to counter my Arenas in Game 3. But it ended up working out that I chose not to flip Arenas because he flipped Aspirants. And I even was able to close out that Aspirants game with double camel. I was very cautious with how I was using them, playing around Watcher a lot. That was the only thing I think that beats my deck is Watcher. So I would move up the camel and then hide an Hourglass, get a point here and there. And then I would move up the camel and then first make the camel back. So I was doing a lot of things to make sure that they weren't dying because I knew that I needed them to close out the game.
Yeah, that was an insane matchup. We were watching all live, and I think you guys can just go watch the game, and it was like an insane 2-0. And what about the final? Like you mentioned it about the final earlier, and I don't know if you have anything else to add to wrap up all the matchups.
Yeah, I mean the finals, going into it, it's very tense. The getting first and second is the difference between the champion Pomo, the champion Matt. There's a lot on the line in this very last game, and there's a lot of pressure. But I just felt really confident into it. Once I saw his deck list, I felt really confident into it. After I'd won the top 4 match, I got to have a really good conversation with Prismat because Prismat had hit him in top 8. We had a good conversation about the deck, and I told him, I was talking to him a little bit. I was like, I feel really confident. I think I know what to do. I think I know where I need to be in the matchup to be confident into it, and it ended up working out well. All my decisions ended up going good for me. So
yeah, that's insane. And so if you have anything to change to this deck list, like for example, like if the viewers, the people who actually look up to you since you're the champion of Hartford, playing with Yi, what would be the tips that you give them if they would like to play this deck? For example, if they bring to the Nexus Night, or they bring to the skirmish, or they bring it back to another, there's no more RQ for the season, but what will be the adjustment that you suggest people to play on the different level that they're playing?
Yeah, the biggest thing I would say is have a good understanding of your local meta. If you do, you can make a couple changes. As you notice, we have 2 Alpha Strike in the sideboard. That card is only good because it's the only answer the colors have to 5-drop by. That is basically the only use for the deck. Other than that, the card is pretty mediocre. I actually didn't cast the card once the entire weekend.
Yeah, because you didn't play against any
I saw it in my
LeBlanc.
hand.
You didn't play against any
No LeBlanc. No, I hit that Victor, but it was a quick 2-0, and I hit that Azir. And I actually had it in my hand against him, but it was the turn that I made that challenge play, which was just a more efficient play and cost less runes. But yeah, that is something that you can consider going back down to one of Houses was if you're not expecting a lot of yellow. If you expect a lot of mirrors, the Fiora is really good. As everybody who knows me knows, the only card in the deck that I hate with a burning passion is Primal Strength. I actually played Master Yi in set 1 going to Houston. And people would tell me to play Primal Strength. I hate this card. I think the card sucks. I think it loses to Defy. In the finals game, I was sitting there with it in my hand, and I knew he had a hard bargain, so I could never play the card. I have a hatred for that card. I think if I were to play the event again, I would consider playing a third on guard. But of course, having almost a fourth punch first in your deck is really good. The nice thing about on guard is it seats really well with the Fiora. As you notice, we weren't playing Grim Resolve because it doesn't seat as well with the Fiora as an action. And we also felt Grim Resolve was a good mirror breaker to get over 2-drop numbers, and Fiora was something that already kind of fit the slot in our deck. So the only thing I would really change is the Primal Strength, and then if you want to take an Alpha Strike out of the sideboard, you can put in something that you might feel good into your local meta. I would consider a third challenge. I brought in challenge, I think, every single game I played all weekend. I don't think there was a game I didn't bring in the second challenge. Maybe against you, I didn't bring in a second challenge, but yeah, I think against basically everybody I played, I brought in the second challenge.
Any card dealing damage to yourself, it's bad against me. So
yes, because the dragon. I was like thinking about it, and I was like, I could like punch first a guy, and then like challenge a Mind Splitter, and then go trade with the dragon, and then maybe it allows me to close out the end game. But I was like, if all those things are in play, like how am I winning the game anyways? So I think I ended up taking them out and just bringing in units. I think I brought in just like the Rakes and the Fios and the Ruma. I was like, I just want units in my deck to be able to make sure that I don't miss.
Yeah. I was surprised when I started Primal String. I'm like, I'm not a Yi player, but looking at that card, I'm like, I don't like that card like at all. So
yeah, I think I cast it twice. Once in finals. I think I cast it in a mirror match as well on the attack to get over something. I think both times I casted it, I literally used it on a 2-drop to go for over like a 3-might unit. I think both times. So if it was just an on-guard, I would have been much happier.
Yeah.
But
would you?
Yeah, it is what it is, and my team told me to play it, and I believed in them, and I still don't think it was a bad decision. It's an okay card, and if you really think you need the fourth punch first going into your locals and skirmishes, then it does have the slot.
And what's their reason to tell you to play that card?
So my best friend and my team who I've been playing with since the game released, he was the one that tried to convince me to play it in set 1. He really likes the card. He thinks it's really good. And he has played a lot of Yi. He played with me in Houston. He got a bunch of tickets at a Super Saturday in Atlanta playing Yi, and they had been testing the deck a lot, and they had felt that it was just a fourth punch first, and that it had some moments where it ended up winning them games in testing, and they told me they thought it was right, and I believed in them. Other teammate Ricky Casanova, I have played his exact same list. We have played the same list now at 3 events: Atlanta, Vancouver, and now going to this one. And I think that he's a very strong deck builder. I didn't have a lot of time to test for this event and build the deck, so I believed in what they had built for me, and I was able to take it to the top.
That's insane. So I think we covered overall the whole deck that you played, and maybe now tell me about the Team Cachao and like what we expecting from now on after winning RQ, and like what's your plan?
Yeah. As far as Team Cachao, we have decided we're probably gonna need a name change. First of all, we don't want to fight with Disney a little bit. I was sad they wouldn't let me use my Lightning McQueen sleeves on stream. It was kind of a bit just for us. So we're calling ourselves Cachao. Ricky's a huge Lightning McQueen fan. But I actually going into the event thought Ethan was going to win the event. I thought our list was perfect, and I thought he was the best E player in the room. And so for me to be able to take it was really funny. But yeah, we're gonna be grinding really hard going into LA, Barcelona, Singapore. We are looking at going to all 3 of those events if possible. Me and my best friend Ethan, I'm looking at taking a step back from my job and working a lot less hours. He is also looking at taking a step back from his job and taking a lot less hours. And we really, really want to prepare for our future. And we think that we can be some of the best players that this game has to offer. And I think with the consistency of my placements, having played 5 big events, losing 2, winning into top 8, and finally being able to close one out, proves that I can consistently be one of the best players. But yeah, we're going to work on a new team name. I will be posting a deck profile on my YouTube. It's at Cachao Factor. The name is just Factor on there later today. So if you guys, it's Tuesday for us. So I'll be working on getting a deck profile out. I also have announced on Twitter that me and Houses are big are going to work on his Metafy guide and do a little update talking about why I chose to play the Fiora in the Arena's Greatest into the deck and some of the reasons that you might want to consider that for your local meta. If you guys are interested in that, go check it out as well. That should be coming out sometime later this week.
Excellent. So that means that you're not going to make your own Metafy. You're going to be only collaborating with Houses Are Big, right?
Yes, I will not be making my own Metafy. I think that this format is pretty much over for RQs. I think that we took a lot of inspiration from his list and it's very close, and that there's going to be a lot of repetition if I just made my own guide. I think that the best thing for me to get it out there to the people and to understand how to play the deck would be to collaborate with him, because his guide already has a lot of people who have paid for it and gone in, and I think it's the best course of action just to get the news out to everybody. Don't make them pay for a second Master Yi guide if they want to play Yi, when I can just collaborate with somebody who already has a very strong guide that we had read over a little bit even before the event going into it, and somebody who I look up to. And I've even played in an event before. Me and him have played on stream back in SCG Con Vegas in November. At a 10K, we played like round 5 on stream, so it's cool to see us both doing so well and now getting to collaborate together.
Yeah, excellent. It's like I really respect the decision that you're making to not like just try to like make extra Metafy, and I respect that someone already put in the work, and that's a very good decision of you, and I respect that. And I think we covered mostly everything. Do you have anything to add before we wrap up this video?
No, that's kind of mostly what I want to say. If you play against Yi, don't forget his passive. People try to do that sometimes. That's the biggest thing. Going into events, I'm like, oh, I hope my opponent forgets my passive. So it's always a really funny bit for us that the Yi passive exists, and make sure not to forget it. And yeah, I have a lot of stuff coming up in the works. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at KachowFactor. Yeah, even with the Metafy guide, the deck profile, there's a lot of other stuff coming. So you guys should be excited, and I can't wait to participate in more events. And carrying the trophy once just makes me want to do it again. So very excited.
Excellent. So thank you everyone for watching this video. It's really appreciated. Just to mention that I'm not stopping making Gundam content. This channel is going to be mainly for Riftbound and Gundam. And so please give a subscribe and follow Factor on all the platforms. Going to be linked in the description below. And give a subscribe to my channel and follow me on any platform that you like. And hope you guys enjoy this video. And please drop a comment below about what type of content you guys would like to watch on the following weeks or days. And thank you for watching. On to the next one.